I got served at work. Not with a margarita or a "you go, queen" compliment on my new blowout. Served, as in a guy in a navy jacket said my full legal name, and handed me a stapled packet. It was beige and official and humiliating. On the top page, under plaintiff, was Elias Hart, the man I lived with, kissed every morning, and told myself I would definitely pay back once my bonus hit. The case title might as well have been Reality versus My Rationalizations. Debt. Money owed. It said in the box for nature of suit. Under amount, $3,842.17 plus costs. In the brief statement of claim, there was one sentence that made my chest go cold. Defendant used plaintiff's credit card without permission to pay for travel and lodging. Defendant acknowledged the charges in writing and promised repayment by August 1st. Payment not received. The in writing part was my fault. Elias is an IT guy. Boring on paper, meticulous in practice. When he texted me the morning after I landed in Miami, "Did you put a $1,900 charge on my Sapphire?" I replied exactly the thing you should never type when your life depends on plausible deniability. "Yes, babe. I'll pay you back after my July bonus. Promise." 2 hours later. "And the $612 hotel? I'll cover it after this weekend." I tapped his card on Expedia at 1 a.m. like it was a button in a video game. It autofilled because he'd once booked us a Napa weekend on my laptop. I told myself I'd pay it off in the app before he noticed, the adult equivalent of taking a cookie and swearing you'll replace it when you figure out how to bake. If you've never had transaction alerts set up on your card, let me tell you, you can't outrun them. Elias saw the notifications before I'd even finished my airport Chardonnay. I'm Lena. 29. Marketing coordinator. Good at captions, bad at consequences. Elias is 32, the kind of man who labels charging cables and actually reads return policies. He likes quiet Netflix nights and roast chicken, and telling me exactly where the flashlight lives. I like chaos, apparently. Or I like the way chaos made me feel necessary, like the plot needed me. When I told him about the girls' weekend, I left out the part where I'd already clicked purchase with his card glowing blue on my screen. He would have said no. Not because he's controlling, but because we were saving. We had a maybe ring, maybe house fund in a high-yield account, and an agreement about not being dumb with money. When we first moved in together, he asked for separate day-to-day cards, joint rent, and a shared spreadsheet. I rolled my eyes and said, "Sure, Dad." Then fell a little in love with a man who made adulthood feel like a path you could walk without a map. In Miami, it was like the city conspired to keep me stupid. Breezy dresses, strong drinks, friends who say you deserve this. We ordered a bottle at a rooftop bar because the server called us ladies, in that worshipful way that makes you forget you have rent. I told myself I was celebrating surviving Q2. I told myself Elias was overreacting. I told myself the $49 daily resort fee was a prank. The morning after, he sent the line that should have made me sit down. Using my card without permission is fraud. I typed "we're together, it's the same money," then backspaced and sent "you know I'll pay you instead." He replied, "Then send it today." I sent $300 because that's what I had and posted a story of my legs at the pool with the caption, "Manifesting never-ending weekends." And honestly, I thought that was the end of it. Until I got home. The Wi-Fi was the same, the pictures on the walls were the same, the plant I always overwater looked smugly alive. The deadbolt, however, was not the same. My key turned and stuck. I tried again. Red light. My stomach dropped like an elevator. Elias opened the doorcom in that way that means he's already had the hard conversation. With himself. "Hey," he said. He didn't move aside. "I scheduled a civil standby for tonight at 6. Your stuff's in the spare room. The officer will be here, so we both have a witness." What?" I said, and then like a moron. "But I brought you the key lime cookies you like. You can leave them with Marco downstairs," he said gently, and for a second I hated kindness more than rage. "Lena, you can't charge my card, lie about it, spend the weekend posting from a hotel I paid for, and expect a hug at the door." "I didn't lie," I said, defensive as a cat. "I told you I'd pay you back." "You promised you'd pay me back," he corrected. That's the only reason I didn't immediately dispute the charges with the bank. I gave you the dignity of handling it between us. You didn't. I started crying, because crying is a language that had gotten me out of a lot of tickets. Parking and otherwise. He didn't fold. He handed me a manila folder like he was delivering mail. Inside printouts. My texts with my promise. The Expedia receipt with card ending in 7732 and his name. The hotel folio. A screenshot of our shared spreadsheet showing 3 months of his transfers to our savings and mine. Less consistent. A copy of a credit freeze he'd placed on his file, to prevent any more surprise purchases. At the back, a letter he'd already mailed me, a demand for payment with a due date and a sentence that made me nauseous. If payment is not received by August 1st, I will file in small claims. You're really going to sue me? I asked, like the word itself was rude. I'm going to put this on the same grown-up rail everything else sits on, he said. Money you took without permission goes on the money rail. Boundaries go on the boundaries rail. He took a breath. And relationships go on the no fraud rail. I didn't steal, I said. You didn't ask, he said. That's the part that matters to me. At 6, the officer came. I packed boxes while Milo, our neighbor's golden who thinks every hallway is his, thumped his tail against my ankles like he'd been sent to comfort the dumb. Elias labeled my boxes with his decent handwriting, L-I-N. Closet, Lynn. Bathroom, Lynn. Desk. He'd even coiled my cords. Love is in the logistics, and the logistics gutted me. I left with my pride in a tote, and my weekend in a stack of receipts. Which is how I ended up, 2 weeks later, served at work. My boss pretended she didn't see. I pretended my face wasn't on fire. That night I Googled, small claims how bad can it be, while sitting on my sister's couch eating cereal out of the mixing bowl, because all her dishes were mysteriously soaking. Turns out small claims is exactly what it says. Small amounts, simple rules. In our county, no lawyers in the courtroom, just your facts. Bring your receipts. Bring your texts. Bring your grown-up voice. The clerk's website even had a checklist. Contracts, none. Proof of payment, my $300. Proof of the charges, his stack. Any written agreement about repayment. My own text saying promise. My sister said, just don't show up. He'll get bored. I said, that's not how it works. And for once in my life, I was right. The hearing was in a bland room that looked like a classroom gave up and went to law school. The judge was brisk without being cruel. Elias wore a navy sweater like he was auditioning for a PSA about common sense. I wore a blazer I used to call my job interview jacket, when I still thought my life would be a straight line. Elias went first. He didn't perform. He presented. He laid out the charges, the texts, the promise date. He explained why he didn't dispute the card, because he believed I would handle it. He showed the demand letter. He showed the credit freeze. He didn't say she does this a lot, or she always, or any of the phrases that turn a claim into a tantrum. He stuck to this. The judge looked at me. Ms. Santos. I tried to make a speech about relationships and sharing and we're basically married, but even my mouth didn't buy it. The judge said, were you an authorized user on this card? I said, no, he said, did you have permission? I said quietly, no. But. He held up a hand. Did you acknowledge the charge in writing and promise repayment by a date certain? I said, yes. Judgment for the plaintiff. $3,842.17 plus the filing fee. Payable in 90 days, or by installment schedule if agreed in writing. The stamp went thunk like an exclamation point. I went home and looked up what a judgment actually means. It's not handcuffs or sirens. It's worse. Your name on a paper that says you owe what you owe, and if you don't pay, collections or garnishment can become words you have to learn how to spell. I scraped it together. Sold my Peloton, asked my aunt for a loan, cut my nails at home. I sent the first $1,000 with an email that said I'm sorry, meaning it more than the money could show. He replied once, thank you. Please keep payments via the portal so it's recorded. The way he sanitized our mess with process made my chest ache. But that's the thing about adults. They keep not making your feelings their problem. You want to know the part where I get him back? There isn't one. He changed his locks. He forwarded my mail. He texted Marco at the front desk when my boxes arrived so I wouldn't be embarrassed in the lobby. He set Saturday 9 to 9:30 as a window when I could pick up the rest of my stuff with nobody home. He gave me Milo time in the park because the dog loves everyone, even people who treat cards like magic. Months later, I saw him at Home Depot comparing light bulbs like a man who has future evenings to read in. A woman stood next to him with a cart, asking about lumens like a person planning a life. He looked healthier in the way people look when they sleep. He noticed me, nodded once, polite, then turned back to the shelf. He didn't owe me more. I paid the judgment off in 3 installments and a bowl of humble pie that lasted all summer. I stopped telling the story where this was a cute misunderstanding between lovers and started telling the one where I used money that wasn't mine, because I wanted to be the kind of person who could afford my own spontaneity without actually earning it. Elias wins because he didn't yell, subtweet, or put my boxes on the curb. He won because he moved our mess to the rails where it belonged. Money with receipts, boundaries with locks. And refused to be the villain in a story where I wanted him to be mean so I could feel better about being wrong. He won because he trusted the boring tools. Alerts, freezes, letters, court. And because when I cried he handed me a folder, not a lifeline. I still like beaches. I still like dresses that ought to have their own weather. But I book trips with my own card now, one I pay every month, because the version of me who has to open Judgment Satisfied on a court portal is a version I plan to bury in the quietest grave. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. She called it a girls' weekend and swiped his card like a shortcut. He put the whole mess on grown-up rails. Alerts, a demand letter, small claims, new locks. Lesson: if it isn't your card, it isn't your money. And a calm plan beats chaos every time. If you like this video, please subscribe for more. Thanks and see y'all tomorrow.